Well, hello again. It is Trash Talk. It's a Tuesday morning, 8 a.m. We got our coffee and we've been yakking already. So we're ready to yak with all of you. Hope you're all doing good too. Uh, we often talk about what we're going to talk about, and we throw out ideas and we talk about these ideas sometimes for a few minutes, sometimes it's a few seconds. And I said, we can't seem to keep focused on any one topic we want to talk about. And our attention span is not quite, and we said, well, you know what? Our attention span is shrinking. Why don't we just talk about that?
It is shrinking. It
Yeah. And
is.
Brandon said, talk about what?
I did. I already forgot what she said. I was already thinking about what I was going to do later today.
Yeah. Excuse me just a minute. I got to just focus on something else momentarily.
Well, it's true. If you think about it, like if you look at entertainment, what our entertainment options are, they're these little fun little games that last, 3 minutes. The maximum videos on TikTok are 10 minutes. Like there's scroll, scroll, scroll. You got people that watch movies and are scrolling on their phone because they don't want to pay attention to a movie.
Right. I have to admit that sometimes when I'm sitting on the couch and watching a movie, I am playing solitaire or something
No,
on my phone. Especially if it's a Hallmark type movie that
well,
Lauren is
that's
really
different.
into.
That's different. That's almost like serving time. Like you're just there, like trying to get through the 2 hours of cheesiness. I understand that, but
Right.
like God, I used to get so mad. When I was married, we'd go to watch a movie. She'd be like, I really want to watch this movie. I haven't seen it. I'm like, sweet, I love this movie. Let's do it. And we put it on, and next thing I know, I look over there. Oh, what happened? I don't get it. Well, of course you don't get it. Your
Yeah.
face is on God knows what, Candy Crush or something stupid.
Yeah. Or Lauren sometimes will say, you just missed a good part. And so she'll say, reverse it. So you got to go back. So now I got to, refocus my attention span for a few minutes until I catch up.
I doubt there was a good part in the Hallmark movie. I doubt you missed anything.
We just finished watching Manifest and all.
The series?
Yeah. And Manifest was kind of that way. It was like, it seemed like every other episode was kind of like the previous episode. They keep repeating the same stuff. So I would just get out the solitaire or the Sudoku or whatever and start playing because I would listen to it and it was like the conversations were the same.
But I know it's a big deal. It's a big deal with kids. It's a problem with kids. The way that they market their entertainment now. So I look at some of the stuff that Luke has on his tablet and it's not just the games. I mean, I'm always monitoring that stuff anyway in the time he's on it. But they have like these little shows and whatever. All the cartoons and stuff that are on there are formulated in a very fast, high action, running around, insane way. Like there's a formula to it. There's not a story arc for whatever the cartoon. It's this very high active, bright colored thing, and I'm like, that's making me insane. Like I feel like I'm doing drugs when I'm watching this, and I think it makes the kids crazy too.
Yeah, but that's what they need to do to keep their attention.
I don't know. See, I don't know. I think it's doing the opposite. I think they are doing that and it might keep their attention right then, but then he goes next one, next one, next one, next one. So you're creating this little mini maniac who is going to then grow up and still have that lack of attention span and go to school and be like, boom, boom, boom. I think it's a problem.
Yeah, either that or you're gonna raise a generation of really cool artists.
That's cool too. I'm down with that.
They'll turn that into visual art and music, and
Hey,
the next Prince will be born because he's got all these weird chords and strange gyrations.
I mean, I hope so, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
that would be sweet. But it is funny though, or like when I watch people in restaurants and they hand their kid the tablet, which I hate, and I don't do ever. Um, and they're like, and I hear them say like, "Oh, it's the only way he'll eat his food," and I'm like, well, that's not the kid's fault. That's your fault. Like,
Right,
and
right.
but I'm like, I've seen the kid, like these kids come in like crazy, and then they hand him the tablet. It's like they slipped them morphine, you know?
Exactly. Exactly. Have you noticed too that when we talk about attention spans, I don't know why, but maybe it's just me, but going back, a decade maybe, you go to a movie theater and the movies were like 2.5 hours and all, and now there seems to be so many of these 90-minute movies out there. It's just like they don't have to expand the movies because people's attention span seems to be shrinking a little
Yeah.
bit. They're satisfied with a 90-minute flick.
And sometimes 90 minutes are great, like in those comedies or something. Like you don't need to go and long. And I mean,
Like
to me, like,
Like Babylon?
did you watch that?
Huh? No. If it comes out on TV, I
It
might,
is.
but what is it, almost 3 hours
It's on
of just
Paramount Plus.
repetition?
Yeah, it's on Paramount Plus right now, and
Oh, yeah.
anyway, don't get me started. I watched it. That movie made me lose my attention span, and I was on a lot of social media. But uh, visually beautiful movie, visually amazing, but
Yeah.
garbage. Um, so yeah, but then you look at some of the other movies, like when the movies come out, and they're like, "Well, it's 2 hours and 10 minutes, so it's a little long," and I'm like, 10 of those minutes are credits. you
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
like 2 hours is legit. Like I'm okay with a two. Like, dude, John Wick 4 was like over 2 hours. It's the longest movie in the franchise, and guess what? That's okay.
Yeah.
you know, it works. You know,
I think Elvis was a longer movie too, but it kept your attention from beginning to end.
was at least a story there. You know,
Right.
like I went to go see Cocaine Bear, and if they would have made Cocaine Bear any longer than 90 minutes, I'd have been like, okay, that's too much. But 90 minutes was perfect for a bear doing cocaine.
Right,
So
right. Well, and that's why a lot of we've got so many more animated features coming, and I mean really good animation.
yeah.
But most of the animated movies are also around 90 minutes, and I don't know whether that's for the kids' benefit or the adults' benefit.
Well, there's also too, I mean, nowadays too, especially in the movies that have come out post COVID, nowadays it's all about the money. And they realize what's going on or not going on in the movie theaters. So they are, I mean, they've cut corners. I mean, even Disney with Marvel has cut corners. They're paying for it now, which is why
Yeah,
they fired one of their people. But um, they're like, you know what? The longer the movie goes, the more money it's cost us. If we can cut 30 minutes out of this
that,
movie,
that's right.
you know,
And I think people realize too, you go to a 90-minute movie, well, you get there early, and first of all, you got to sit through 15 or 20 minutes of previews and announcements and stuff, and then you watch the 90-minute movie. And as you said, for those people that do sit through the credits, and I gotta be honest, I'm one of those people. I generally sit through all the credits because I'm wondering, are there going to be some outtakes at the end of the credits?
if it's a Marvel movie, I'm 1,000% sitting through the credits because there's always a post credit scene that's important. It's
Right.
just formula. Even if it's any superhero movie, if it's a movie that's in a franchise, I may sit because sometimes, like you said, they'll do. If it's a comedy, they throw the outtakes in there.
And my,
You know,
my thing too is there's always a piece of music that's in there that I'm saying, wait a minute, who is that singing that song? Who is that? Now I got to sit through all the credits till they get to the end and they show all the music that was played and who
right?
performed it. And then
And
you
I'm
sit
one of
there
those
going,
weird.
oh yeah, I know who that was.
And I'm a weird guy that likes to. I do this on TV shows too, not just with myself. It doesn't even have to be anybody around. I'll sit there and be like, and I'll be like, oh, hey, I know where this is. They filmed that over there. They filmed that there. I'm like, I recognize the city. I'm like, oh, it's that city. Oh, it's that. So in a movie, I'm like, I wonder if I was right. Let me go to
Yeah,
the end, see if
right,
they
right.
because I go to the movies by myself, unless it's with Luke, and then I usually don't care and we leave. But yeah, and so I'll go to the very end, and I'm like, aha, it was New Zealand. I knew it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Prime movies, they run the credits to the end. Netflix, they start running the credits and then they go to the previews of what's coming up next.
You have to select. You have to go up and go, wait a minute, go back to that little corner box.
Right, right.
But streaming has made us that way. Streaming has shortened our attention span because of the options. I mean, think about it. Every
Yeah,
single one of us, you go on Netflix, you're going like this, boom, boom, boom. Okay, you start something 2 minutes. I don't want to watch that. Go to the next one, boom. And you spend 30 minutes trying to find something that you're going to watch for 15.
right. Well, that's true. Sometimes you start to watch the first, the first episode of almost anything is usually it's there to grab your attention. But if it's 3 seasons, sometimes you get halfway through the first season and you realize that the pilot or the initial show was pretty cool, but where did it go from there? It just kind of goes downhill. And then you're wrestling with, well, do I watch it again and pick it up again and see if it gets any better? And sometimes it'll take a long time to get through a series, or we've gone through 2 or 3 seasons of something and said, you know what, there's 2 more seasons, forget about it.
I pulled the plug. I did that with Mad Men. I'm sure there's a ton of people out there that are going to hate me for it, but I tried to watch Mad Men. It felt like it was a show I should like. The cast was great. It was done well. And I thought it was the most boring, overrated show, period. I've tried to watch it multiple times, and then I was like, I'm out. I
Yeah,
completely gave up.
interesting.
But the other thing too with the attention span thing is I think about like how we operate in work. Like our brains and our bodies are bombarded all the time with stuff, physical stuff and mental stuff. And if you think about it from a work aspect, you're bombarded with tasks daily, bombarded with emails and text messages and phone calls and reports. And for me, I'm bombarded by vendors daily. I've got 5 to 6. I mean, I could spend half a day talking to vendors. And then I'm like, let me go do this. Then I got to go do this. Then I got to play. And then I've done this while I'm talking to a vendor. I'm like, I'm listening. And it's
Yeah,
rude, but I have to.
yeah.
And I think our minds don't know how to shut off, which is why we bounce around so much, which is why it's so important to give your mind a rest, to just set that alarm. So at 9 o'clock at night, I do this now. I'm back into this habit. At 9 o'clock at night, my alarm goes off and it says no social media. And I go into ghost protocol mode. It's hard to do. I usually put my
It is
phone in
hard
the
to
other room.
do.
Yeah, because but it also gets me in that position where I want to start going to bed earlier, and that's hard for me to do anyway. But I want to start going to bed earlier because the later I stay up, the more I'm gonna snack or want to get
Yeah,
on social media, and it's just a cycle.
yeah. And I've also noticed, when we talk about attention span, how many more commercials are 30 seconds in length instead of a full minute.
Absolutely.
And again, that could be, it could be because of cost. I mean, I remember the old Budweiser commercials used to be a full minute, and they were always very, very well done. Well, they realized they could save a lot of money by doing the same story in 30 seconds. And usually they're getting the message across to people because after 30 seconds, they're either ready to go back to the show or they're ready for another commercial. Um,
Yeah, you're right. And you think they would take some of that money and invest it into their beer, but what do I know? Um,
no,
I mean, but yeah, they cut him down. I've seen that with some major companies.
there is an apartment complex here where we live. I think it's called the Bray.
Okay.
I don't know if you ever noticed, but every once in a while in a commercial break, there'll be a like 20-second commercial for something. The Bray has a 10-second spot. That's it. They show about
Really?
4 or 5 pictures of the interior of their apartments that they offer, and it says the Bray and a phone number. Boom, that's it. And they don't run anything that I have seen more than 10 seconds. I'd be interested to know their marketing feedback as to whether that 10-second spot is working.
I almost think that they're, places like the apartments probably get desperate because you almost don't have to advertise because there's so many people looking for places to live, and we're
Yeah.
relive type apartments, and like 50 million pop up.
Yeah. All you need is 2 words, now leasing.
Right.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's almost like, well, maybe they do have to advertise because they're getting lost in the shuffle,
Well, they're also building faster than they're renting, or
Yeah,
they're
that's
renting as fast as they can build.
That's true. That's true.
But amazing. Even texting, you mentioned TikTok. What TikTok's limit is 10 minutes. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, unless you go live on TikTok, they have a 10-minute thing. I typically do, most of my videos are not, I mean, I don't think I do 10 minutes. I've done them accidentally a couple of times, but typically mine are in that 2-minute, 45-second mark. That's what I like. That's my sweet spot.
Yeah.
So.
I mean, is that one of the reasons why so many people gravitated to Twitter when that opened? Is because weren't you limited to like 40 words, or you were limited to characters per tweet?
Yeah, you still are, but yeah, I got to be honest with you. I didn't never understood the appeal of Twitter. I'm on it, but I've never understood the appeal. It's just these constant updates. At one point, it was like it was almost like a news thing, like because Facebook obviously sucks, and
Right.
they weren't giving you the news or anything like that. And Twitter was like a news thing, and you could get all these people on there. But now I'm on it, and I'm like, well, TikTok gives you the news better than anybody else across the globe. So and it's TikTok, and Twitter is rapid fire. I mean, you want to see some
Yeah.
funny stuff, just go look at some of the politicians that they tweet. It's rapid fire. Like, it's hilarious.
Yeah, and because you're limited with so many words, as soon as they finish, when they get to the end of one tweet, just start with a new one and go for, it's just, so it's like a thread you got to follow.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is. Yeah.
Amazing. So, well, anyway, I think our attention span is probably about wrapped up on this.
Yeah, mine is. I was thinking about other stuff already. So
yeah, and anyway, I think I gotta go back and do another solitaire or Sudoku or something.
Right.
So we'll catch up with you again next week. Come on back, 8:00 next Tuesday morning, okay, for another edition of Trash Talk.
Bye.